Andy Nolan, well known for playing accordion in the BibleCode Sundays, is now launching a new website and interview series entitled A Drop of the Hard Stuff, with his first offering being a video interview with actor Mike Noble of This City Is Ours. In October, Andy will be launching his true crime book, Green Bloods, which looks at the story of Irish criminality in London.
I've always been a bit of a true crime buff. I think one of my first introductions into true crime would have been films like Goodfellas, The Godfather, more recently The Town, The Departed, Carlito's Way. I've always just loved those kind of films, and then I discovered true crime books, and to cut a long story short, I realised that a lot of true crime authors weren't really doing their research well on the Irish influence on organised crime. Even in America, I think they've got the grips of it now. There's a lot of true crime, Irish-American true crime books. But at the start, it was a bit frustrating because they were very across the Italian experience in America. But when it came to the Irish criminals, someone even researched that well as to where their parents were from or grandparents were from. It was a big oversight, and I got really frustrated with that the more books that I read, and I thought someone really needs to set the record straight, and I thought I would start here in London, in the UK, a place that I know best. So around 2015, 2016, I started writing Green Bloods, because I found that a lot of these former criminals were coming to my gigs. Some of them I'd grown up with, and I realised that there was a London Irish story here that needed to be told. Initially, it was about Irish criminals in the UK, but the London chapters just expanded and expanded so much that I realised pretty quickly that I had a book here in itself just about London.
Gangsters like Billy Hill and the Crays are among those that feature in Green Bloods.
Oh, fucks with Billy Hill and gets away with it.
And he became very, very powerful, Billy Hill. Not to give too much away, but he sort of like, some say he handed his empire on to the Crays when he retired. He was one of those lucky ones that lived to tell the tale, lived into his senior years, and when he wanted to get out, he went out on his own terms, and then the Crays became quite dominant in East London. So, and then there's also characters like Bobby McHugh, who was the right-hand man of Billy Hill, and Bobby McHugh is from Dublin. He came over here at a young age, became a very successful criminal. And then we sort of like progressed from the 60s up to the present day. I delve into members of the Crays gang who were Irish born or of Irish descent, which there were many. A lot of their firm were of Irish parents or grandparents. The Crays had Irish blood. They had an Irish grandmother, as did Freddie Foreman. A lot of those guys, Frankie Fraser, had an Irish grandmother as well. It was quite common with a lot of the old Cockney criminals, because where they were from in the East End, a lot of the Irish, when they came over during the time of the Great Hunger, worked on the docks. There was so much work down on the East End docks for the Irish, and a lot of those old school Cockney criminals have Irish lineage through dock workers from the East End. It was important for me to sort of like, in a way, I felt like I needed to rewrite British criminal history a little bit, and point people in the direction of these gangs and their ethnicity, because over in this country, a lot of things is glossed over, and especially when it comes to the Irish, I think it's overlooked a lot. Ethnically, a lot of people don't want to delve into it for whatever reason, prejudice, or they don't think it's important. But I think it's very important to realise how they were poor white criminals, and a lot of them were off the boat, or their parents had just got off the boat from Ireland, and they went straight into criminality.
Once a prolific bank robber, journalist and author Noel Razor Smith is also featured.
His parents were from Dublin. Again, poor Irish immigrants that came here, initially settled in North London, then they moved down to South London near Balham and Brixton. And for the likes of Razor, crime just seemed to be the easiest way out of poverty. and he became very good at robbing banks. Carved out a serious criminal career doing it, but he wasn't the only one. There was plenty of Irish, or Cockney Irish bank robbers in London in the 80s and 90s. The Bradish brothers, Ray Bishop, the list goes on, many, many more.
Anti-Irish sentiment was a big issue, particularly during the IRA's bombing campaign.
From the 1960s onwards, it was very commonplace to see signs in boarding houses, no blacks, no dogs, no Irish. So when the Irish came here, initially they weren't made welcome. So it really did push a lot of these kids, second, third generation Irish kids, into crime, because they did feel like outcasts. There was prejudice, and then when they went into the prison system, then they were dealing with screws, they would call them, prison wardens, who were ex-military, who again might have served in the north of Ireland during the 70s and 80s and had no love for the Irish, unfortunately. So that these guys were going into the British prison system here, and at the hands of these warders were treated quite badly. So it did, the anti-Irish prejudice here in this country did have a big bearing on their decision making as criminals, and it made them quite resentful of the system here in comparison to their indigenous criminal counterparts who were, born and brought up here of English parentage. The guys that went into prison here of Irish parents or grandparents, whatever it is, once the warders seen the surname or found out the Irish connection, they found that they were getting treated very differently, almost like the same way as Irish Republican prisoners would be treated here in British jails. In fact, a lot of the bank robbing crews that were of Irish descent, like Razor Smith and the Bradish boys and Ray Bishop, were Category A prisoners, along with the Irish Republican prisoners here at the time. So they shared cells, they rubbed shoulders with them all the time. So to a large degree, the Irish criminals here, albeit a lot of them had Cockney accents, they felt they were lumped in with the IRA here, and a lot of them became good friends, and that connection, I explore that connection a lot throughout the book, how through the 70s, 80s and 90s they were sharing cells with very dangerous paramilitaries from Ireland.
Andy had the honour of playing music with the late Shane MacGowan of the Pogues.
I've got a feeling this year's for me and you.
Yeah, I think the first time I actually met Shane in the flesh, I think we were playing at the Mean Fiddler in Harleston. And he came into the dressing room fashionably late, as you'd expect. We were supposed to go on stage about an hour beforehand. But Shane came in and it's like, oh my God, there he is. He's right in front of me, as you are to me now. And yeah, it was a real pinch me moment. It's not often that I get starstruck, but Shane's definitely one of those people that, when they walk in the room, they have a presence, they have an aura. And he was a huge hero of mine. And I was sharing a dressing room with him, and then literally 15 minutes later, I think we were out on stage giving it hell for leather and off,
After almost 20 years, Andy made the decision to leave the band in 2024.
But yeah, 4 albums entirely of our own material, 1 or 2 covers here and there, and yeah, it went by in a flash. But I left the BibleCodes, I think it was the start of November 2024. It was the right time for me. I really missed the creative side of the band. We weren't really doing that so much anymore. We were really in gig mode. We've always been in gig mode. We've always been really, really busy. But the creative side, the writing side of it seemed to peter off a lot. And I was missing that creativity. So while I was playing with the BibleCodes, I was also playing with a few other bands. The most recent band being Two Canoes. I might have touched on this earlier, but it's Sean Gannon, the drummer from the Magic Numbers. Darren Morrissey from Morrissey and Marshall, Caroline Regan, concertina player, singer. And we've started recording our own original material written mostly by Darren, and I've loved that. It's something that I can really get my teeth into. So for me, with the BibleCodes, it was the right time to leave. and go on to pastures new.
Andy launches Green Bloods at the London Irish Centre on 11th of October 2025.